Hello, Jolly Julian here, coming to you with a fresh new VR video for you, for the VR aficionado, the person for whom VR is more than just a casual pastime, more than just something that you pop onto your face once in a while when you want to escape the real world, but for whom virtual reality is kind of a regular thing. Maybe too regular. Maybe you're doing it too much. Maybe we need to do an intervention. No, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Virtual reality, in moderation, a great thing. I am Jolly Julian. I am obviously a huge fan of virtual reality, and I'm excited to come to you here today with a question that gets asked a lot in the world these days, and that is the question of, does size matter? Now, you might be thinking, but Julian, you said this was a virtual reality video. What are we talking about here? It sounds like we might be talking about something else. Get your mind out of the gutter. If your mind went to a very freaky place there, get your mind out of that gutter. We're not talking anything freaky here. We're talking about virtual reality. Is the length of the experience the most important thing? Is that what's going to determine whether you get the most bang for your buck out of a virtual reality experience? And if so, why is that? And is that the best way to maybe look at virtual reality or gaming in general, or even life in general? Let's dive in. All right, folks, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. Everyone's going to have a different opinion on this, but I want to pose a thing to think about when you're considering what gives you the most joy out of a gaming experience, a virtual reality experience, or almost anything else in life. And that is, it's not always about the quantity of it, but the quality of it. And sometimes the quality, of course, just as with about anything, it's very personal to each of us. Each of us are going to have a very different opinion on what quality is. But certainly it doesn't seem like we should always quantify whether something is worth the money or is worth the experience based solely on the number of hours that we can spend playing it. Now, let me get this out of the way first. I'm the first to say I have lost hundreds of hours in lengthy virtual reality experiences such as No Man's Sky or Skyrim VR. Even things that have been modded experiences like Subnautica and the Resident Evil games that I've played modded so that I could play them in PCVR. Those have been incredible experiences that were very lengthy, hours and hours, sometimes dozens or more hours, sometimes almost infinite number of hours when it comes to something like potentially No Man's Sky or certainly Skyrim VR. But some of the most incredible experiences I've ever had in virtual reality were things that maybe were only a few hours long, maybe even an hour or even less long sometimes, but they're things that have stuck in my mind and in my heart and in my virtual spirit for a long time afterward, because they really scratched an itch. They really did something unique. They really brought something new to the table, at least new to me, that made me look at things in a different way. So one of the things that I think is important here is that we stop thinking of virtual reality strictly as games. A lot of what I love about virtual reality, in fact, the majority of what I do is gaming on some level. But I like to think of virtual reality as more of an experience than it is a game. Even when I'm playing a game, I'm much more immersed when I'm playing in virtual reality than playing on a flat screen. I feel like I'm in the story. I'm part of the story. I'm part of the experience, more than if I was just watching it through the window of a computer monitor. So when you open that up, then just about anything that can be an experience that takes us out of our regular everyday life and allows us to experience something different, something we maybe have never experienced before, something we've maybe wanted to experience but we're too afraid of, feeling like we're immersed in it, in that three-dimensional, all-encompassing, life-scale virtual reality experience, that just takes it to a whole nother level. And that means sometimes it can be a really short experience. For example, I just did one recently I've got to bring up called Astra. Astra is an experience on the Quest 3 that uses the mixed reality of the Quest 3 to create a kind of spaceship environment within your own room. And it has kind of an education aspect to it. Now, don't let that turn you off. But it teaches you a little bit about the different planets in our solar system while making it feel like you're traveling there. And just this fully immersive experience really pulled me in such a unique way by turning my own room into a spacecraft that I was able to go on this journey and learn these things about the planets in our own solar system. Really neat. And again, something that, isn't really a game. It's more of an experience. But I was invested every moment in that experience, just about as much as I would be in any game that I've ever played. Now, is Astra going to be for everyone? Of course not. Like I said, everyone's going to have a different opinion of what's right for them. And I believed what I paid for Astra was like $10, okay? $10. And as of now, I've gotten at least an hour and a half or 2 hours of experience out of it, and I'm going to go back to it again. But more importantly, I've even taken this experience to people I know, to my family members, and had them pop into it and see the look of wonder on their faces as they were experiencing this very unique thing happening in an environment that they're already very used to, their own home, their own room, their own space. And that brings us to that age-old question of what is it that gives something value? For example, movie theaters, going to a movie in the theater. Now, some of you might think, well, I don't go to movies in theaters anymore. I wait to watch them on my television and just stream them when they come onto Netflix or Amazon Prime or HBO Max or whatever. But when you do go to a movie, you might be investing anywhere from $10 to $20 or more for about an hour and a half to 2 hour, maybe 3 hour experience. And depending on the movie, that time might be incredibly well worth it, or it might have been a complete waste of time. We've all seen movies where we left it and it was just such a great experience. We couldn't wait to come and spend that $10, $20 again and watch that movie again. But then there were other times where we saw a movie and went, well, that was just not only a waste of a couple hours, but a waste of $20. Well, it's the same thing with experiences, right? It's not about the length of time necessarily, because I've also watched mini-series or television series that were 8, 9, 10 hours long or longer if they were multiple seasons, that when I got to the end of them, I'm like, boy, did I just waste an awful lot of time watching this. There was a lot of hours there, a lot of time spent, but the experience itself was not fantastic. It was not memorable. It felt like a waste of time. So another experience that I bring up when I'm thinking of this is something like Ocean Rift. Now, I'm a scuba diver. I'm a scuba diver at heart. I love scuba diving. I've been scuba diving for about 30 years. Enjoy it so much. It's one of my favorite pastimes. Well, Ocean Rift is a wonderful way to just kind of chill out, to get away from the world and go into this world when I don't have the time, effort, money to put into getting all my gear together, flying off somewhere tropical to go scuba diving. Now, is it exactly the same? Of course not. But here I can just pop my headset on, go into this other world, and I can be swimming with the fishes in the best way possible. Not the mobster gangster kind of way. I can just put the headset on and all of a sudden be whisked away to something that represents something that I love so much. And I might spend just 10 minutes in there, swimming around with the shark, petting a sea turtle, whatever it is. I might spend a half hour in there, but that time is incredibly valuable and a wonderful experience in virtual reality. Now, that does bring up an interesting question, though. You might be thinking, yeah, but what if when you were in Ocean Rift, you weren't just looking at the stuff, but you could actually, be on a treasure hunt trying to find something in an abandoned wreck under the ocean? Okay, well, you got me there. If somebody created an experience like that brought the environmental experience of scuba diving to me, and then brought a gamification to it that felt very well married to that experience, would I potentially spend hours in there? Absolutely. And then I'm just getting bonus value out of it, right? But I mean, for the $10, $15, I don't know, something like that for Ocean Rift when I originally purchased it, have I gotten my money's worth out of that? Absolutely, because it's something that I can't experience to that degree in any other way other than doing it in real life, which is far more expensive and time-consuming. It's not going to replace real life. It's just augmenting it, right? That's what this whole channel is about, right? Let's virtual our reality. Well, first of all, you've got to have a reality for something to anchor things to. Then we're going to create these virtual experiences that either replicate that reality, augment that reality, or sometimes take that reality to a fantasy level, creating new experiences for us we couldn't get any other way. But I also understand how it's the easiest metric to use, right? When people are comparing experiences in virtual reality. Hey, this one costs $20 and it's a 2-hour experience. This one costs $60 and it's a 150-hour plus experience. Which one is more valuable? Well, it depends. If amount of hours was the only thing that mattered, then Bus Driver Simulator would probably be the most amazing thing on the planet. You're just driving a bus around, doing nothing else, looking at the plain old scenery just going by. You can do that for hours and hours and hours. Does that mean it's going to be a great experience? No, it does not necessarily. It might be for you, it might not be for somebody else. To me, that sounds incredibly boring. I wouldn't want to do that necessarily for 10 minutes, much less for 10 hours, 100 hours. Another good example, let's bring this into the game world for a moment, right? This is an old game, but a classic, right, in the virtual reality realm, and that is the game Super Hot. Now, you've at least heard of it, you've probably played it, all right, but you've at least probably heard of Super Hot. Now, that is not a very long game. In fact, I remember when I played it the first time, I got all the way through it and I remember thinking to myself, oh, that's it, it's over? And I was a little disappointed. Not disappointed in that I didn't feel like I got my money's worth, not disappointed in that I didn't love every minute that I was in there playing it, but it left me wanting more. You want to get out of an experience while you're still loving it. Don't wait until you're sick of it or bored of it or whatever and then just decide, well, I guess I'm done, and then it just kind of goes away. It sticks in our memory as an incredible experience because we got out of that experience before it became dull, before it became passé, before it became too much like reality that the virtual part of it was gone. If you have not tried Super Hot, it is a great experience, very unique and so unique to virtual reality. Even though it was a flat screen game first, I cannot imagine playing that game in any other way other than virtual reality. It makes the premise of that experience so unique. And that's the thing that often drives me more than anything else in virtual reality, is the experience itself. How unique is it, and how well suited to the realm of virtual reality is it? Another great thing for shorter experiences in virtual reality are some puzzle games. One of my favorites being the puzzle game Form, which is only available through PCVR as far as I know right now. It's not available on standalone, not on the Quest by itself. But if you have your Quest tethered to a computer, you can play it. It's available through Steam. It's a great puzzle experience that, again, is kind of short, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe to get through the whole thing, depending on the pace that you go, maybe 3 hours, right? And then it's done. But I will remember for the rest of my life the first time that I played through Form, and I've played through it multiple times now because of how great that experience was. It didn't have to be dozens of hours in order for it to be well worth every penny that I put into it, and probably way more. Think of it kind of like if you're taking a vacation somewhere. Now, a great vacation does not necessarily have to be a vacation where you spend a month in Australia diving the Great Barrier Reef and walking through the Okay, that sounds kind of amazing, right? Okay, that is an amazing vacation, right? Absolutely, no question about it. That would potentially be an amazing vacation. But you can also have an incredible vacation that might be just a day trip somewhere, where something happens that you weren't expecting, or you saw something that really wowed you, something you weren't expecting, something that came out of nowhere and will always be in your memory, that you will share with whomever you were there with as an experience that you'll never forget. And virtual reality gives us that possibility as well. Think outside the box. Think outside your experience. Think outside the things that you already know that you love. If you're somebody that loves first-person shooters, that's great. I love them too. I'm not very good at them, but I love them. But that doesn't mean that I also don't love this kind of puzzle game, or going into Google Earth and just experiencing things in there, or going into Astra or Ocean Rift, like I mentioned, and just experiencing these moments. Watching short-form virtual reality animated experiences. Incredible emotional experiences that really get to you at the core. One of which I've talked about before is Wolves in the Walls. Really got me on an emotional level. There was another one, I think it's called Sail or something like that. That was a wonderful short, like 10, 12 minute-ish animated experience in virtual reality where the entire animated world was happening all around you, and it had a wonderful emotional punch to it. Meditation. People use virtual reality for meditation or exercise. I exercise in virtual reality for a good, 20, 30, 40 minutes every day. Now, that's a short period of time each day, but boy, you add that up. How much time have I spent in Synth Riders over the last couple of years? It probably rivals an awful lot of the other experiences I've done in virtual reality. But I wouldn't think of Synth Riders as necessarily a lengthy experience. It's not something like Skyrim that you're investing in a story over and over again, but it is something that I'm doing on a regular basis, doing it for shorter periods of time, and every single time I do it, brings a smile to my face and makes me enjoy my workout. So, to bring this to a close, Does size really matter? It's not the be-all and end-all. What really matters is the experience that you have, and only you can define whether that experience was of the value that you paid for it, that you invested in it, or if it was not. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a lengthy experience. So I would like to challenge you to do two things. Number one, get outside the box and try some things in virtual reality you might not normally try, especially if they're only $5, $10. If you find something on sale, give it a try. What's the worst possible thing that can happen? If you get a half an hour of joy out of it, was it worth it? Absolutely, if you paid $10 for it, in my opinion. The second thing that I want you to do is comment on this video. Let me know what your feelings are on this. Do you agree with me or disagree? There's no wrong answers here. It's only your opinions, and we can have a discussion about this. Let's just keep that discussion on a nice, courteous level. But I'm going to answer and respond to every comment that comes in here because I want to hear from you. Is there a short experience that you've had that you absolutely loved in virtual reality? Is there a short experience that you felt was a complete waste of time? A long experience you felt was a complete waste of time? You know, whatever it is, what is your input on this? Because that's what I want to hear from. I want to hear from as many of you as possible on your feelings of how much does size matter? How much does the length of a virtual reality experience determine its value for you? This is Jolly Julian. I'm signing off right now. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment and subscribe to this video, but only do it if you felt you got value out of this. My goal is to keep bringing you new videos that kind of talk about virtual reality, maybe in a slightly different way, and at least, if nothing else, I'll bring the jolly joy to virtual reality because I am Jolly Julian and I love virtual reality. Talk to you on the next video. All right, if you're still on here, you might be thinking, boy, I don't know, did I get value out of that? For some of you, this video is going to have been too long. For some of you, it's going to have been too short. But you know what? All of you got it for free. So did you get your money's worth out of it? I hope so. See ya.